Hey, this is Eli Campbell. You know, Steamboat is renowned worldwide for skiing, biking, and all that our natural playground has to offer. We're fortunate, though, that the natural beauty here attracts more than just outdoor enthusiasts. From local legends to world-class acts, amazing musicians regularly play the venues in our little corner of Northwest Colorado. Join me as I explore the stories and experiences of these talented artists who bring unforgettable performances to Steamboat. This is your Steamboat Sound Check. Welcome to the Steamboat Sound Check podcast. Eli Campbell here with you, and I'm excited to be joined by one of my favorite musicians that has emerged over the past year, Michael Marcagi, who's going to be playing the Strings Music Pavilion March 9th. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Now, it's been quite a year for you. Just last December, just a year ago, you released the debut solo single, The Other Side, and that was before you were even signed to a record deal with Warner Brothers. Here we are a year later. Not only do you have that record deal, you're touring pretty extensively nationally and internationally. When you released that song, what were your expectations? Did you have a moment in the recording process that you thought, man, this might really take off for me?
No, I definitely didn't have any expectations of, especially was not expecting, what has happened in the past year of my life to happen. But I mean, I do remember like being in the studio and for the first time, being really excited about like kind of, making the sound and singing about the things that I've always wanted to kind of hit on and like I had been in a band before, and so it was like the first time trying like the whole solo record thing. And I remember, feeling really, really proud and kind of like achieved the sound I'd have always been kind of wanting to go after.
Yeah. Now you released that song, and then not long after that, you kind of released the breakout hit Scared to Start. And that one went viral on TikTok,
Yeah.
racking like nearly 1 million views overnight, it seemed like. It's amazing. It's kind of wild how many musicians that I've been paying attention to or that I've had the chance to talk to who are getting their big breaks on social media these days. It's a little different from the music industry of 10, 15, 20 years ago. When you were doing this, was that part of the strategy, or was it kind of a happy accident that the audience found you?
Yeah, it was a complete happy accident. It was one of those things where like I had just saved up money to record like these three songs, and Scared to Start was one of them. And I remember I didn't even have TikTok at the time, but I remember like talking to my manager and he's like, yeah, like we can throw these up on Spotify or you can try to like, put them on social media yourself and just kind of see what happens, like he even used the example of like, it's worked for, Noah Kahan and like other artists that have, gotten songs that have kind of like really expanded their audience through social media. And yeah, so I downloaded TikTok and just started posting and didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really have any hopes or expectations. And yeah, just a very, very happy accident was, yeah, it seemed to catch on and strike a nerve with some people and it kind of just exploded from there.
Yeah, and you mentioned Noah Kahan. You're kind of part of this genre of music that's having a moment right now. Noah's one of them. Zach Bryan. It's people that are breaking into the charts, and not just breaking in, but topping the Hot 100 charts. And these aren't your stereotypical pop singers. It's not like if I put into an AI tool, spit out an image of a pop singer, you or Noah Kahan or any of these people are who would I'd probably get back, but you all seem to be striking a chord by telling these deeper, more personal stories, connecting with audiences in a way that feels a little bit more fresh and intimate. What do you think it is about this genre and storytelling approach that is really resonating with listeners right now?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm very grateful that this kind of music is definitely like coming back to the forefront, and very grateful for people like Noah and Zach to like kind of like pave the way for it. But I don't know. I think in the end, I think audiences and like listeners are always gonna be into storytelling. You go back to like Bob Dylan's in the back in the news now because there's a new movie and like even like John Prine and that kind of music where it's just like storytelling and people I think people want to hear like authentic songs and connect to people talking about the things that are personal to them and somehow like the more personal you get the more universal it gets. Like I think it's really cool and funny and ironic that like Noah has been going around playing stadiums and, having the whole stadium is singing like I love Vermont and like talking about being from like one of the smallest states in the country. So, I think just people are craving like authenticity and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you're talking about authenticity. I think we live in a society right now that feels more and more hectic by the day. And there's something about that simple message that people are wanting and striving for. And to that end, I have to say, I love your website bio because a lot of musicians, they have some high-paid PR executive that waxes poetic about accolades and other musicians you've been on tour with or shared a stage with. Yours is kind of refreshingly simple. It just basically says singer-songwriter from Cincinnati, go Bengals. That leads me to two questions. I guess being a Broncos fan here from
Oh
Colorado,
yeah.
we watched the Broncos lose a game last night that would have put them in the playoffs. And their next game, actually, they head into Cincinnati in a game that I think will have some pretty big playoff implications. So how are you feeling about that?
Oh man. I mean, the Broncos, I watched the game last night. They looked pretty good, like they started out so hot and their defense is good, but yeah, it's kind of coming down to like the Bengals or the Broncos getting in. I think the Bengals have to like win out and the Broncos have to kind of collapse coming down the stretch, but they play next week. And so it's going to come down to maybe that Chiefs game at the end of the year. So we'll see. I think the Bengals have had a really weird year. Like they're Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have like a bajillion yards, but they have a losing record. So I think the Broncos are probably the better team, but we'll see. It's the NFL. No, you
Yeah,
never know what will happen.
I think if Joe Burrow were on a team that had a more dominant winning record, he'd be certainly in the conversation for MVP. I told my son on the way to school today, I was like, man, I'm nervous going up against a Bengals team that is hungry to prove that they're as good as they think they are. And
Yeah.
we've got the Chiefs after that. I was like, our 93% chance to get in the playoffs, I don't think it's quite that good.
Yeah,
But
it's coming down to the wire for sure.
yeah. Back to the simplistic message though on that bio. Is that kind of reflective of who you are as an artist? Do you intentionally just try to let the music speak for itself?
Yeah, I think so. Like yeah, I just try to, I try to be as authentic as I possibly can, like whether I'm on stage or, an interview like this or like writing my music, like I jokingly say that I'm like not that exciting of a guy. I'm just like a boring dude from Ohio, but um yeah, I just try to stay like authentic and try not to, try to be somebody I'm not and like try to talk about the things that are hard for me where it's like it is nerve-wracking like playing music on stage and it is like uncomfortable doing these things that I'm not exactly used to and so maybe in a way of like addressing them and talking about them and trying not to like fake it makes it almost easier for me in a way.
For saying that it's hard for you to be someone that gets up on stage and plays, you've got a pretty packed schedule coming up here.
That is
Got
true.
26 shows from mid-February to late March, and luckily for us here in Steamboat, a few of those shows are here in Colorado, including the one at the Strings Music Pavilion March 9th. I couldn't help but notice, though, that two of your days off fall right after the shows in the Aspen area and the Steamboat area. I was wondering, is that by design? Do you plan to sneak in some time on the slopes or
I
anything like
would
that? Is
love
it important for you to have those days off on a grueling schedule?
Yeah, I think, this past year was so just like go, 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 and everything was happening kind of like in real time. So it was like hard to plan. Like, we would get like another tour like 2 weeks before we were supposed to go out on another tour. So it's just like back to back to back. I definitely learned that like it can get grueling and you need to pace yourself and not to try to do too much. But yeah, I love Colorado so much. Like my brother lives out there, manager, and everybody's out there, and I got family out there, and I do love to ski. So I would love to be able to have a day off and hit somewhere. That'd be awesome.
Well, we might be able to work that out for you. Now, after the US tour, you're actually heading overseas to play arenas across Europe, opening for the Lumineers, which, of course, Colorado favorite band. It's
Yeah.
quite a shift, though, going from the intimate rooms like here at Strings. It's a 500-seat little pavilion
Mhm.
to arena crowds. How's that going to change your mindset or approach to the performance? How do you keep the connection to the audience and the authenticity that you're talking about in such drastically different spaces?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. I'm really excited. The Lumineers, like I've become really close with Wes, lead singer. He's been like really, really gracious to me and has been like almost like a mentor. It's been awesome. And so I'm just excited, number one, to like see their show every night, especially some of the cities we get to play. But yeah, I've never really played, venues even remotely that big before. So it's gonna be like an interesting challenge for sure. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna definitely take some getting used to, but being the opener is also kind of fun where it's like you can kind of look at it in a way of like, well, like you're just trying to win fans. You can't lose any fans. Like you're just there to try to win people over and hopefully, grab some people's attention. And so I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
It's a great way to look at it. Now, like we've said, it's been years since the other side introduced us to Michael Marcagi, the solo artist. Now we're talking about these large scale international tours. Not bad for a boring guy from Cincinnati, as you just described yourself. But you keep releasing more new music. We just started playing Keep Me Honest here on our Steamboat Locals radio platform. It's a great song and
Thank
begs the
you.
question, other than the tours, what else can we look forward to from you as you move into 2025?
Yeah, definitely gonna release a couple more songs at the top of the year. And yeah, over the past couple months too, I've been finishing up a full length album. So hopefully the album comes out in, definitely before like the Lumineers tour. And so we're getting ready to, finalize that and get all the mixing and mastering done with it, which is super exciting just because this past year has been kind of like playing shows with not that many songs and which has been tough. I'm excited to have like a full body of workout and that can kind of like yeah be my first full length record that I release, which will be fun.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see that full body of work here in Steamboat. Again, the show is March 9th at the Strings Music Pavilion. As soon as I saw the announcement, I hopped online and bought a couple of tickets for my wife and I. We're going to make a good date night out of it. So,
Amazing.
yeah, we're really excited about it. And I want to thank you for taking some time out of the busy holiday schedule to join me this morning. And, until we see you in March, enjoy the rest of your holiday season and have a great start to your new year.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you talking to me. I'm excited to be out in Colorado.
Yeah.